chat. Let me know how you feel. Are we ready to slap again? Joe, what's your mood like going into this massive fixture?
I'm confident. I fancy us in this. I think City, they've had a very sort of up and down start to the season. Looked fantastic in that opening win against Wolves. I think we was all kind of thinking, oh, shit, City are back. But then, obviously, Brighton turned them over. Spurs turned them over, as they always do. And then I know they sort of dispatched of United, but United were very feeble in that game. So yeah, it's hard to know what we're going to get from City. I think in years gone by, we know what to expect, and I think that's kind of been a bit of a fear. Whereas now, they're not the same City they once were. De Bruyne's not there anymore. Obviously, Rodri's coming off the back of a long injury. Foden, obviously, not in great form. They've got a few injury problems as well. So I think it's a game we should be looking to, and what I'd like to see us go into and really kind of go at City. I know we kind of like we went to Anfield with our Marino, Rice, Zubimendi midfield, and I know we're going to touch on our starting 11s coming up, but I would like to see us, when those lineups are announced, I would like to have the feeling that, yeah, we're going for this game. We fancy it, and we're going to take the game to City. And I think we will, being at home. Away from home, obviously, I think we like to be a bit more sort of reserved, if you like, and make sure we're solid before we do anything else. Whereas at home against City, I think this is where we can go and lay down a marker. And there's nothing to fear with the City side anymore. They're a team who are in a bit of a transition, I'd say. They've kind of moved away from the system of obviously having De Bruyne, a lot of play going through the central areas. I think they're now kind of shifting to more of the kind of the wider attacking areas. I think their sort of focus is on now with the sort of the fullbacks and wingers. So they're obviously getting used to a new style of play. We're very well settled in what we're doing. Yes, we've got new players, but they're looking like they've bedded in well. And like I said, mate, I just want to see us really take the game to City on Sunday, because I think they're there for the taking. And as we saw last year, if we get a goal, our confidence is up, and we saw what we could do last year.
Matthew, welcome to the show. Says, just tuning in late, I know, but first time catching a live in a while. I've missed you, my friend. Evening all, he says, City 0, Arsenal 5. And Joe Yem says, the contrast of red and blue. It is, of course, red versus blue. And last time out, we smacked them 5-1 at the Emirates. In fact, Yem, we are unbeaten in our last 4 games against Manchester City in the league. We've won 2 of them, drawn 2 of them, which is the same number of wins as our previous 22. Has Mikel Arteta finally cracked the code? Are we going to beat Manchester City on Sunday, Em?
I think, like Joe, I'm positive about our chances. I will say City have started to look a little bit better in the last 2 games, and I think Foden has started to find some form. He's finding Haaland a little bit too regularly for my liking, but there are some mitigations in that. Napoli in the midweek were down to 10 men, and it did take a bit of time for City to find their way through. And then obviously Man United, as Joe said, were pretty poor. I am positive because I think we've got the squad, we've got the form, we look defensively very solid, as we've all mentioned before. And even if we're not winning, in the first 45, we've got the weapons to bring off the bench whoever starts and whoever is on the bench to change the game, which is something we haven't had for a long time, as we keep going on about. Also, it's interesting to note that Pep Guardiola has been making noises that I've not seen Pep Guardiola make about Arsenal.
Oh, play tell.
So he's been saying that Mikel Arteta, if he wins this year, it's because he's spent the money. Now, that may have been taken out of context, but it's interesting that he never usually says these kind of things about Mikel. He's usually very complimentary about Mikel. But
to be fair, did you watch the entire press conference?
No, I didn't. But again, I fully know that it might have been taken out of context.
It completely has been. So I watched the entire press conference, and this was, of course, Pep Guardiola speaking after their win last night against Napoli. And he was asked the question about Mikel, and he described him as his great friend, and he talked about Mikel being a really clever, very important sort of manager. And he was, as Ian says, being sarcastic, where he sort of said, look, the only reason why Mikel Arteta is going to win the trophy is obviously because he spent loads of money. It's nothing to do with the fact that he's so dedicated, that he works so hard, that he coaches the players. Other clubs in the past have only won the league titles because of the money they've spent. So he was very tongue-in-cheek, very sarcastic, very sort of, let the media ask a dumb question and they just get a dumb answer. And it has been taken out of context. And I'm not saying that, you've sort of fallen for it, because there have been a lot of people on social media that have just hung on to that phrase, and they've sort of laid into Pep for like, pot calling kettle black, blah, 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 blah. The reality is Pep Guardiola rates Arteta so much. He respects him so much. And he's tried so very hard to replace Mikel ever since he left. And he knows that Mikel has his number. Manchester City have now lost both of their last 2 Premier League games at the Emirates Stadium. That is as many as the previous 14. So Mikel has got Pep's number.
The interesting thing is there are a few concerns from Man City this weekend. Most notably, Rodri is a doubt for the weekend. So that's a big one, because obviously the replacement is Nico Gonzalez with Tijani Riders. Nico Gonzalez has not been what we call a success at the moment. So there's concerns there. Defensively as well, they're not what they were. Ruben Diaz apparently is also out. So it'll be Guardiola as the senior defensive person with maybe Nathan Ake. But those wing back, you've got Mateus Nunez on one side, and then on the left, I have no idea who they're going to play, because Ryan Nuri is out. So it could be O'Reilly playing again. If that's the case, Noni Madueke is literally licking his lips, because this is where you want Madueke to go against a person who's not naturally a fullback. Absolutely, go at him, and that's what you want. This is, in the past, as Joe has said, City have been this kind of juggernaut where you know what you're about to get. I don't know what City is going to come this weekend, because it could be the one that is very free-flowing, etc. But they're defensively, there are defensive concerns. I don't think any Man City fan can not acknowledge that. But what they do have up front is an absolute machine. However, the 2 defenders who he's going up against absolutely love, and I said this on our podcast as well, they absolutely love this contest. This is the contest that they won. This is the one that they absolutely, you can sell. Gabriel just absolutely loves it. He loves just getting heavy-handed and then, going to war with Erling Haaland. And that's what you want. The big players going against each other. I can't wait to see Zubimendi and Rice going against, you'd hope Rodri is fit, because you do want to see him against, Zubimendi and Rice.
No, you don't.
See if that, I do. I do.
We don't want Rodri playing.
But, defensively, we shouldn't have any worry. We are such a good unit defensively. I think, you've got, such a well-disciplined unit. Our midfield looks very good. And we're going to talk about it. That midfield is where I think we need to have, where Mikel does need to be a bit bolder to say, look, we're at home, we should be going for this. And then obviously up front, the front 3 are probably, that's where a good question comes in, because obviously, we've got options. But,
well, look, you're racing away with the content. We'll talk about team selections in just a second. While you were talking, because you mentioned Rodri, I brought him up on screen. Pep Guardiola today quoted as saying that he does not know whether Rodri will be fit enough to start his 3rd game in a week after wins over Manchester United in the Manchester derby last weekend and Napoli, of course, last night. Midfielder apparently didn't feel comfortable during training on Wednesday, but he played extraordinary in the Champions League. So that will be a decision on Sunday. For me, I'm taking that as Rodri is starting. They do have 1 or 2 sort of injury concerns. The squad not quite as fit as they would have liked, but Phil Foden certainly seems to have his mojo back. So that's going to be another interesting one. Joe, just to bring back some PTSD from last season, Gianluigi Donnarumma, who was unbelievable in those 2 legs against us, PSG in the Champions League. He is now, of course, the number 1 at Manchester City. You can see the shot chart there, courtesy of Opta, Latte Firm Partners. Got to say that again, just still getting used to it. There is his shot map, I guess, as a goalkeeper, saves and goals conceded. Is he someone that sends shivers down your spine again? Are you looking forward to Arsenal coming up against that goalkeeper?
No, I'm not. Like you said, pure PTSD, horrible memories of last time we faced him. But the positive is that obviously in the first game we played, he was a bit sort of flappy, wasn't he, for Havertz's goal? Sort of came out, looked a bit lost, and he sort of nodded it past him in the game at the Emirates. So he's got sort of a bit of Jekyll and Hyde about him, possibly. Could have a great game, prone to an error. I think what we're going to have to see on Sunday is there's been sort of, for as well as Madueke's done, for as well as Eze's done at the start of their Arsenal careers, we have got to see end product at the weekend. We've got to see goals and assists from the players who maybe sort of the end product's been questioned. Martin Odegaard, if he's fit. Victor Gyökeres, if you get a chance, can you take it? And in this game, against this goalkeeper, against this level of opposition, you can't afford to have a hatful of chances to get a goal. You need to be able to take your chances. You need to be able to take your half chances. And I think if we can do that, if we can be sort of clinical in front of goal, which sometimes I think we struggle with, then I think we could have a good win on our hands. But yeah, I think it's all going to come down to what kind of level Madueke will be at, what level Gyökeres will be at in this game. Are they able to be clinical? Are they able to pick that final ball out, which maybe they've been criticised for? This is the acid test. And going into the game, I'm confident. Yes, City have got their problems, but it's still Man City. They're still a very good side. They've still got the best centre forward in the world. They've arguably got one of the best goalkeepers in the world. Yeah, their spine obviously might sort of be struggling a bit. Like you, I'd expect Rodri to start the game. It's probably the biggest game of the season so far for them. I can't see him being left out for this one. So they're still a formidable side, and we'll have to be at our best to beat them. But whereas in years gone by, our best might have been good enough to get a draw, our best is now very much good enough to get a big win. So that's the level we're at now. And yeah, I feel confident. I think we can do it. And like I said, it's all just going to come down to the two boxes for me. How clinical can we be, and how good will Gabriel and Saliba be at stopping Erling Haaland?
Who we'll talk about next. Anajit Chatterjee says this goalie is a menace. We need to be very intelligent with passing in front of goal. And as one or two have mentioned, Mike Blake saying we didn't have Gyökeres last season, though. And of course, Dave followed up by saying Gyökeres did score against City in the Champions League. Big game. I've seen a lot of Troy Deeney stuff coming out about Victor Gyökeres. He's got to score in the big game starting this Sunday if he's going to prove his worth. Talking of scoring in big games, talking of just scoring, yeah, they have a demon of a centre forward who has the bit between his teeth again this season. The fastest to 50 Champions League goals in 49 games is frankly absurd. Courtesy of Optra Analyst on the left-hand side there, look at Erling Haaland's goal-scoring records. 1.2 goals per game in 22-23, a goal a game 23-24, just shy of 1 24-25, and he started electric this season with a very high non-penalty XG as well, so he's not just stat padding from the spot. He is the main threat on Sunday. Keep him quiet, like you said earlier, with Saliba and Gabriel, if indeed it is to be Saliba. That's probably where the game is going to be won or lost.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, the fact is that he is their main goal threat, and that's, because you've got Jeremy Doku on one side, and then you've got who else? You've got Oscar Bob and a few others on the other side, Savinho. That's pitiful compared to Erling Haaland. Erling Haaland is a level above them, and his goal record is outstanding. Look, as much as we hate what he does against us, as a player, you have to appreciate his goal-getting ability. It's just undeniable when when he goes through on goal, it's pretty much guaranteed.
Is he the best striker in the world, chaps?
Yeah, probably for me in terms of natural finisher, because I think Mbappe is very much in a Thierry Henry mold in terms of he's not naturally a finisher, but Erling Haaland just sniffs goals. I can't fathom how he's very clever now as well. I think he's got more clever. This season he's even more clever than what he was in terms of his runs and his ability to make space in the box. It's something that not many players have these days in terms of the old-fashioned centre-forward play, into making space and coming through the blind side. Victor Gyökeres has it as well, but Erling Haaland is a different level in terms of what a striker does, I think.
Joe? I mean, he is what we have to stop on Sunday. Is he the best forward in the game?
I think he is. I think if you look at an all-round player, you could argue maybe that someone like Harry Kane might be a better all-round player than Erling Haaland. But if you're looking at a centre-forward just in the aspect of scoring goals, which is what we all want a centre-forward to do, there isn't anyone better. I think one of the comments was just he's a Norwegian android, and I don't think you can put it any better than that, because he just scores goals. That's what he does. He might not be involved in the game. He won't touch the ball for half an hour, and within 5 minutes he could have a hat-trick. He's just currency is goals, mate. That's all he does, and he's sensational. He scores big goals. He scores to put City 1-0 up. He doesn't always just sort of score a hat trick in games when they're cruising. He'll contribute in the big games as well. So yeah, he for me stands alone as the best centre forward in the world, 100%.
There's a lot of debate in the chat as to whether he's the best footballer in the world or best forward, best striker. I think best goal scorer it's hard to argue against, and physically monster of a player. Guess who says Mbappe is overall better, but he's not a striker? Haaland, definitely the best striker in the world. Shouts of Alexander Isak, one or two of Victor Gyökeres, tongue in cheek, of course. Robbie G. FK, I am impressed. You know your stuff. Thank you, Robbie G. I'll take that all day long. I starred that because it meant a lot to me when you said it. I can't remember what nonsense I was talking at the time, but I'm going to take it, my friend.
Was it during Snapchat?
You what? Maybe it's a Snapchat. Yeah, I do know my snacks, to be fair. Right, let's move on to starting lineups and predictions. I want to get everyone in the chat involved in this in just a second. But before I do this, let me just share with you some of the highlights from Mikel Arteta's press conference today. So he opened by talking about there being a chance for Ben White, Bukayo Saka, and Martin Odegaard to be available, but they will all be assessed after tomorrow morning's training session, and they have not yet trained with the team. I would suggest there is an outside chance of any of those three making the team. They are, at best, I would say, Odegaard on the bench, which poses a selection headache, which very interesting teams I got from both of you today. Mikel Merino and Victor Gyökeres have both suffered head injuries in the Champions League fixture out in Bilbao. Both are fine and should play. Victor Gyökeres with, of course, that massive gash at the back of his head after clashing with Gabriel in the air. Nobody wants to do that. Meanwhile, William Saliba is really pushing to return, which means that Christian Mosquera may miss out. And I wouldn't be too disappointed, obviously, because Saliba is a fantastic player, but I hope Saliba is fully fit. And I hope Mosquera doesn't take that too personally. He was proud, Mikel, of Noni Madueke's impact on the team. So it describes him as a very positive player. Not surprised that Madueke carries that sort of threat and unpredictability going forward. And he's just basically happy that he's got players on the bench that can make such an impact. And he was praising Gabby Martinelli and Leo Trossard. So the gaffer, very, very positive. That's as many nuggets of things that I can sort of remember from today's press conference. It is out there on YouTube in case you guys want to see. I've just brought up, as I've been talking, the last 11s of Arsenal and Manchester City. Arsenal, of course, beating Nottingham Forest at the Emirates last weekend, and Manchester City winning the Manchester Derby by 3-0. These graphics courtesy of PremierLeague.com. So before we go into team selection, I asked both of these, ladies and gents, boys and girls, to come up with their team selection. And you've basically named 10 players the same, just one player different. Now, neither of you have gone for Odegaard in midfield, of course. I think we all correctly assumed that he would be missing. But Joe, I cannot believe you didn't pick Eza. You went for Ethan Nwaneri in midfield. And Joe went with Madueke, Gyökeres and Martinelli, with Eza instead of Odegaard, and Zubimendi and Rice. And you went with Nwaneri and not Eza. What's that about, Yem?
Well, I don't think Eze has played in that position from the right. He plays from the left effectively. It's a different role. Ethan Nwaneri has been playing there. He's been doing it now for a long time. He knows the role. He's getting better at it. From the last couple of games I've seen him, he's actually looked very good. I think if you want that outlet in a position that he's familiar with, then you go with Eze. With Nwaneri. I'm not, again, he could jiggle it and just move Eze to the left and shift, Rice over, etc. There's nothing to stop that. I guess it's back to that point of we don't know what the lineup will be. He's got the options now to switch it out and to make it different. But Arteta is a creature of habit, I've noticed in his games. And although I like Nwaneri to start, I get the feeling that lineup that you've got there already is probably, apart from Eze, because I think Martinelli will come back in. I think that's what's going to start against things, because he's very pragmatic in the big games. I don't think he wants to be tough to beat first, and then he'll want to have something. Then he'll want to push for a win. But
well, let's go through the 11. So all of us are completely unanimous in David Raya should be the goalkeeper, and chat come along with this. Right back wise, we all went for Jurrien Timber. I know there's a lot of chat So they're saying, can't wait to see Ben White back in action, but I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon. So Jurien Timber is probably our preferred right back. Defensively, I think, are we all agreed? Saliba, even if he's sort of 90-95% fit, he gets the nod ahead of Mosquera.
I think you have to. I said this on the podcast as well. You've got a very clever striker in Erling Haaland. He is a battering ram, but he's also getting more and more clever in his movement. And as much as I love Mosquera, it's a step up. You're going towards the best centre forward in the world, as we just said. So you want one of the best centre backs in the world. Mosquera's done unbelievably well, but go with the experience. Go with the player who has played against Haaland, who knows his little movements, who knows what he does, and get that partnership there, the Gabriel and Saliba partnership, because that's the one that always does very well against him.
I think Manny K's just predicted the rest of it. Gabriel Magalhaes, left centre back, no doubt about that. Ricky Calafiori for all three of us. No one shouting to stay humble. Miles Lewis Skelly celebration from last year. Are we all going for Ricky?
I think so. I think given how he's performed so far this year, and I think the difference you've seen him make, not only in the attacking phases of our game, but I think defensively, especially against Liverpool, you've seen a side of Calafiori that almost he's gone up a level from last year defensively. So yeah, I think you see him start. I think MLS arguably hasn't played enough minutes to come into this game. And yeah, I think Calafiori's been outstanding this season. Arguably one of our players of the season so far. Done really well against City last year in the away game as well. Obviously scored that worldie. So yeah, for me, I think you play him just because he unlocks a lot of opportunities for us going forward as well. And if we want to play a sort of quicker transition game, which I feel we have been trying to do at home, I think he unlocks that a lot better than MLS will.
Yeah, lots of people saying MLS is probably going to get his first run out of the season in the League Cup, of course, away at Port Vale, which comes after this game. As we move through into midfield, Ødegaard, I think, is the one that's going to miss out unless this is mind games from Mikel. Maybe the skip is back into the team. But if it's not to be him, I think we're all going with Rice and Zubimendi as the pivot, with potentially Eze or Ethan Nwaneri in that attacking central role. Now, Joe, you heard Yem say there that Eze's not really played that for Arsenal yet, and Ethan Nwaneri, of course, did look very good when he came on for Martin Ødegaard against Nottingham Forest. What are you doing in that sort of last midfield position? So if you've got Rice and Zubimendi as your pivot, who's playing ahead of them?
I'm going for Eze, mate, personally. I think we saw what he done for Palace in that position. He was outstanding. I think as well at home, I think it's a better environment for him to play that position in, almost making him the conductor. And I think he'd love to take that responsibility on. We saw what he done for Palace in the FA Cup, kind of dragged them through and almost won them the competition with the run he had towards the end. And I think if he was to be in that number 10 position for Arsenal on the weekend, I think not only offensively, but I think he's a good, strong, physical player. And I think against City, we need physical players in there. Ethan, as well as he's done recently, I think he's still arguably a little bit lightweight. I could see him in seasons gone by, he's been sort of swallowed up a bit in games like this. And I think he done so well when he came off the bench against City last year. Let's keep that option in our pocket again. He can come on the right if he needs to. He can come on in the 10 if he needs to. It gives us an option. And yeah, like Eze, strength for him is picking up the ball, carrying the ball through those midfield areas, picking passes. And I'd like to see him in behind Gyökeres, combining with him in a more sort of central area, because I think Eze, he can take a shot from distance. He's not afraid to pick it up on the edge of the box and have a shot. And I feel like in this game, that's an area where we could exploit City quite well. So yeah, for me personally, nothing against Ethan. If Ødegaard was fit, I'd choose Ødegaard. But for this game, I think Eze's profile will suit us better and gives a better sort of fit in that kind of midfield area.
I think we're all agreed that Noni Madueke starts on the right-hand side has been really impressive this season. Victor Gyökeres, of course, the gunman, has to play up top. And, of course, Troy Deeney adding the pressure to Victor. How wonderful it would be to see him score a goal, maybe the winner on Sunday. But on the left-hand side, we've all gone for Gabby Martinelli, who, of course, scored off the bench in midweek. And, Yem, I think you made the point earlier, plays well in the big games. Off-the-ball work is phenomenal. And actually now he's got the confidence running through his veins. Maybe this is the perfect game, especially when you look at the team that City played in the derby. Kusanov at right back, O'Reilly at left back. Our wide forwards are going to have a field day, aren't they?
I certainly think Noni Madueke, in the form he's in, will definitely have a field day against O'Reilly, because he looks hungry as Madueke. And all we want to see now, as Joe said, is end product. So Madueke, I've got no issues with. I think he's a shoo-in. Martinelli, I think, comes in, because of his defensive work. And in the big games, you need that kind of defensive work to help out, especially against the City. For whatever state City are in, they're still a very good attacking force with Foden, Silva coming through that, that right-hand side, which is why Martinelli is always favoured there. But I also think, as well as you said, his confidence now has been a little bit uplifted with that goal in the midweek, as well as that high line that City do tend to play now. They can't really drop back because of the players they've got. And you'd think that if Eze or Wanieri or whoever it is can play a ball through, get Martinelli through on the shoulder, do what he does best. He's not a touchline winger. He's an inside forward. Let him do what he does best, which is what he did against Bilbao. Let him race through, use his pace, and use his exceptional finishing ability. That's all we need. And yeah, I think he will start. I'd be very surprised if he doesn't start this game, because Arteta trusts him a lot. He's been very effusive in his praise for Martinelli's work rate, his ability, and the rest of the squad were. Look what they did when he scored. They were all racing to him, pointing at his shirt, and he's still a good player. And as I said, we've got options off the bench if it isn't working. So I think he'll start for me.
Well, look, when you look at the City side on the right-hand side, I mean, the fullbacks, I would say, are areas of exploitation for Arsenal. Madueke will be licking his lips, surely. And if Martinelli is the one that's selected on the left-hand side, then he might fancy the better of Kusanov. Defensively, Diaz and Gvardiol have been around a long time. Donnarumma, of course, we talked about. Rodri is key. If he starts in midfield, City have a chance, and if he doesn't start in midfield, I think we dominate. And even if he does, I think we have the opportunity to dominate. Zubimendi is going to be relishing that battle with Declan Rice in midfield. Going forward, though, City very impressive. Jeremy Doku's had a really good start to this season. Lots of people questioning his end product, but this season seems to be delivering. Scored a great goal last night. Phil Foden seems to have the bit between his teeth again, really finding his good form. A great assist last night to Gianni Reinders, who's been brilliant. Bernardo Silva, who is just getting older and older, but he doesn't seem to be losing any of that sort of guile and finesse. And Erling Haaland, the demon up front, that is the one to look out for. Right, let's bring people's chat into the opinion as we wrap up the show. Let me have your predictions for Arsenal versus Manchester City. But before I bring up those chat, what are your thoughts, guys? Where's the game going to be won and lost? And what are your predictions? Joe, what do you think will happen on Sunday?
I'm hoping for the game that sort of springs to mind is Arsenal against United a few years ago, when Alexis and Ozil and Walcott got in the team, and we just came out of the blocks and absolutely blitzed them, and it was just electric. I'd absolutely love to see that, because I think, like we've kind of discussed with City's injuries and the players that we're now able to call upon and the depth we've got, I think we can afford to kind of take that risk at home against City. I think we've got enough firepower to really go at them, and we've got a defence now that we can take a few more risks. We know defensively we're very good, so why not take the game to City? City, when they was in the ascendancy, would always batter us. I mean, we used to regularly ship 5 against them. Has the tide turned? Is it time now that Arsenal have got arguably the deeper squad? Have we arguably got a better 11 at the moment with their injury problems? Let's take the game to them. Let's go and show them that we are taking their mantle. We want to be what they were. They won the title 3 times in a row. That's what we're kind of striving for. Let's go and make a statement. Let's go and just tear City a new one. Do I think that'll happen? I'd like to think so. Probably not. Arteta's not that way inclined most of the time. But yeah, I'm going to go for, I think, an Arsenal 2-0 win. I think it'll just be a nice 2-0. I think we'll have our moments, obviously, where City have a lot of the ball. There'll be a few hairy moments, but I'm really looking forward to seeing the Gabriel Haaland battle, the Lex Luthor to Superman. That battle. It's going to be a great thing. It's always a great watch, the two going at it. I think the pair of them absolutely relish this game, and it's going to be a joy to watch. So I'm going to go 2-0 Arsenal. I think our defence will play well. I think we'll shackle Haaland, and I think we'll have enough to beat Donnarumma a couple of times.
Okay, so 2-0, yeah? Lots of people very, very confident in the chat. 2-0, 3-0, 3-1s. Yembele, is it going to be as easy as that?
I said on our podcast 3-1, and I'm going to stick by it because I think there's a couple of. I think they will score. Haaland will get a goal, but as people have rightly said in the chat, set pieces, baby. Donnarumma is not the greatest at set pieces. Loves a little bit of a flap. Not great at that. And you pack it in against him, he won't know, because obviously he's had it very easy with, in the French league. None of them really go in on him. So I want Arsenal to give him a little shove, give him a little, I wish Ben White was fit just to do his usual little bit against him. That would have been awesome. But I'm all right with who we've got. Just get the balls into him and let's test him out. Let's see that if he, again, he's a great shot stopper, but there are questions on him when he tends to have a punching tendency. So there's that. And I think as well, Noni Madueke is in superb form, and I think he's due a goal, and I get the feeling he's going to do it here. And I want Gyökeres to score, but I don't think I want him to score. Will he? It's a big game, but that defense is gettable. I love it. I think I'm going to go with it. I'm going to go Gyökeres, Noni Madueke, and a Gabriel header. Three for us, one for Erling Haaland, unfortunately.
Okay. Well, I was thinking we were going to win. I thought we were going to edge it. I think I'm going to go 2-1, sit in the middle of both of you. I think scorers-wise, I think Noni Madueke gets us off the mark. I think City equalise, probably through Erling. And then I think Victor